Hi everybody, welcome to Vicky's Story Time. Today our story is about this little girl. Does anybody know who this little girl is? Well, if you said Little Red Riding Hood, you're right. This is the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Do you see her nice little hat and her little basket? Say hi to Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, she's saying hello to you guys. So this is the story of Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood. She loved her mother very much, and her mother loved her. And her mother asked her one day, "Would you like a coat and a hood to keep you warm?" Little Red said, "Yes, please." And she asked Little Red what color she'd like. Would she like pink? Would she like green or blue or yellow? And Little Red said, "Red color, please, Mommy." So Mommy made her a beautiful red dress and a red coat of beautiful red color. So one day Little Red Riding Hood also loved her grandma, and one day she heard her grandma was sick with a cold, and she didn't like the idea of that. So she said to her mother, "Mama, could you please bake me some goodies, and maybe I could take some food to Grandma's house and help her feel better because she's not feeling so good?" And Mama thought that was a good idea. So together they decided what kind of food they would take to Grandma's house. When you're not feeling well, what kind of food do you like? Oh, did you say chicken soup? Yeah, sometimes chicken soup is good when you're feeling sick. Oh, you said cookies too? Yes, some people do like cookies when they're not feeling well. Apples are also good. And maybe some tea or coffee. Yeah, that's a good idea. And Mommy agreed too. So her mommy made them some beautiful baked cookies and made a nice thermos of hot chocolate for her, and told Little Red Riding Hood that she has to be a good girl and listen to what Mommy's telling her. You can go to Grandma's house even though Grandma lives in the woods, but only if you listen to the rules. And the rules are, stay on the path. Don't go into the woods for any reason. You need to stay on the path. Little Red Riding Hood said, "Sure, Mommy. Yes, of course I'll stay on the path." And so with that, Little Red Riding Hood set out to her grandma's house. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la. Oh, look at those beautiful flowers all the way over there in the woods. Oh, those are what color? They're purple, yeah. Oh, my grandma loves purple. You think I should pick her some? You do? Okay, but it's not on the pathway that Mommy told me to stay on. It's in the woods. Should I go? Oh, okay. But I'll just be very quick and I'll come back very quick. Okay, Little Red. Mama told you not to go from the path, so be quick. So Little Red Riding Hood, la 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 la, and picked a nice flower for Grandma and put it in her basket. La 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 la, and almost ready to go back to the path, and she heard a voice. "Hello, little girl," said the voice. Oh goodness. Who's that? "Hello? Hello? Hello?" said the voice. And Little Red Riding Hood turned around and saw a big bad wolf. "Hello, little girl. Hello. How are you today?" Little Red Riding Hood was a little bit... How do you think she felt? Oh, a little bit scared. Yeah, she's shaking. She said, "Hello? Are you a wolf?" And the big bad wolf said, Of course I'm a wolf. Ha 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 ha. But I'm not going to hurt you. I see that you have some nice food in your little basket. Can I have some of your food? Well, Little Red Riding Hood said, well, the food is from my grandma, you know. She's very sick and she lives in the forest. And I'm going to take her this food to help her feel better. The big bad wolf said, well, what a kind little girl you are. What a good idea. But can't you share just one cookie with me? Oh, but I can't, said Little Red Riding Hood. I must get back to the pathway and get to my grandma's house. It was nice meeting you. And Little Red Riding Hood ran off down the path. Then the big bad wolf decided that if she wasn't going to give him any of the food, that he'd have to go and get it himself. And he thought, I know what I'll do. I'm gonna go to Grandma's house, and maybe Grandma will give me the food, and maybe Little Red Riding Hood will come there and I can take the food from her. Whoa, that's a very good idea. And the big bad wolf ran off into the woods too. Little Red Riding Hood was hopping along the pathway and didn't know that the big bad wolf was coming to her grandma's house. And Grandma was waiting because she heard Little Red Riding Hood was gonna come by today and bring her something nice to eat. And she was waiting and waiting for Little Red Riding Hood, and she heard somebody at the door. Oh, it's Little Red Riding Hood, Little Red Riding Hood. And she went to open the door. But who was at the door? It was the big bad wolf, and he scared Grandma so much, and he ran after Grandma, and Grandma ran away. Run away, Grandma, run, 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 Grandma, run. And the wolf will go, come and run, 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 run. And the Grandma, run, run, run. And Grandma hid somewhere in the house. And the big bad wolf did not like that. He was so hungry, his tummy is grumbling. He said, fine, now I'll just have to wait for Little Red Riding Hood to come. But when she sees me, she's going to get scared and run away. So he looked around Grandma's house and he found Grandma's hat and he put it on. There. Now he put on Grandma's nightgown too. And he looked like Grandma. Kind of looked like Grandma. Does he look like Grandma? We'll see if Little Red Riding Hood can see if it's the wolf or not. And he laid in Grandma's bed and pretended he was sleeping. And meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood was still getting closer to the house. La 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 la. Grandma's house! Hey, I'm finally here! And she knocked on Grandma's door. And a voice inside the house said, hello, Little Red Riding Hood? And Little Red Riding Hood thought, Grandma really is sick. She doesn't sound herself today. She must have a sore throat. And she opened the door and came in and saw Grandma lying on her bed. Oh, my dear, is that you, Little Red Riding Hood? And Little Red Riding Hood said, yes, Grandma, that's me. How are you today? I brought you some yummy things to eat. And little Grandma and the wolf said, oh, wonderful. I'm so happy that you gave me some really nice food to eat. And Little Red Riding Hood thought, Something is not funny here. Something's not right. And then she looked at Grandma and she said, "Oh, but Grandma, what big ears you have, Grandma." And the big bad wolf said, "Oh, but Little Red Riding Hood is all the better to hear you with," said the big bad wolf. Little Red Riding Hood said, "But Grandma, what big eyes you have." And Grandma said, "Oh, but Little Red Riding Hood, it's all the better to see you with, my dear." And Little Red Riding Hood said, "Oh, but Grandma, what big teeth you have. Oh." And the Grandma and the wolf said, "Oh, but Little Red Riding Hood, all the better to eat you with." Ha 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 ha. And Little Red Riding Hood, so scared, she jumped up and she ran away. And she ran around the bed, and the wolf ran after her. And she ran back around the bed, and she screamed, "Ah!" And the wolf called, "Woo!" And in the woods, a woodcutter was chopping wood, and he heard Little Red Riding Hood's screams, and he came running, run, run, run. And he came into the house, and he saw Little Red Riding Hood running, and he saw the wolf running after Little Red Riding Hood. And he ran into the house, and he scared the big bad wolf with his big axe. He said, "You get out of here!" And the big bad wolf was so scared, he ran away into the forest, and he never came back. And Little Red Riding Hood cried, "Oh, oh, that was so scary. Oh my goodness, he's so scary. What a mean bad wolf. Thank you, woodcutter, for helping me, but I don't know where my grandma is. Can you help me find my grandma?" And the woodcutter said, "Of course, my little girl. Let's find your grandma." And then they heard, "Little Red Riding Hood, Little Red Riding Hood." And out from the closet came Grandma. "Oh, Grandma, you're safe. Oh, we're so happy to see you, Grandma. You ran and you hid in the house away from the big bad wolf. And we're so happy to see you. And Little Red Riding Hood was so happy to see you too. Oh, Grandma, I'm so happy to see you. I love you so much." And she gave her Grandma a big hug and a kiss. Mwah! And she gave you guys a big hug and a kiss. Mwah! And Grandma came and gave Little Red Riding Hood a big hug and a kiss. Mwah! And she gave you guys a big hug and a kiss. Mwah! And everybody was happy, except for the big bad wolf, who was still hungry in the woods. Big bad wolf. And that's the story of Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma. Thank you for listening to Little Red Riding Hood today. Did you hear her mommy had told her to stay on the path? And if she'd stayed on the path, maybe she wouldn't have met the big bad wolf, and he wouldn't know she had food. So sometimes we really, really, really need to listen to our mummies and daddies, right? Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this story. Goodbye from Little Red Riding Hood, and goodbye from me. Bye.